says, I will change the world, you realize this is a man who's actually accomplished nothing other than advancing his career.
Stick up in. Obama didn't really accomplish a lot apart from Obamacare.
I think Barack Obama has a lot more faith in
Yeah, he does.
verbal interactions than I would. What he's proposing under the guise of change is what has been tried for 2 decades between the two wars, and which failed,
For example,
disastrously in helping to bring on the Second World War.
Barack Obama's plan for defense spending as of last year, I'm quoting his speech. I'll stop spending $9 billion a month in Iraq. I will cut tens of billions in wasteful spending. I will cut investments in unproven missile defense systems. I will not weaponize space. I will slow our development of future combat systems, and I will institute an independent defense priorities board to avoid unnecessary spending, close quote.
I was
Well,
hooked
that's
on that
straight out of the
speech.
30s. There were people who were saying Britain should not, but the British Labour Party in the early to mid 30s voted consistently against defense spending, and they argued that our security does not depend on armaments, but on disarmaments.
Stick up in. But most countries don't want to spend money on war, actually. Sometimes they are pushed into war, they are forced into war. So most countries want to cut spending on war because it's billions and trillions of dollars.
And so when Chamberlain went to Munich to talk to Hitler, it wasn't just his own party, the conservatives, who applauded him when he came back. It was the labor and liberals as well. He was probably the most lionized man among Western leaders, perhaps, of the past century.
You mentioned I think you would call it a naive view of world affairs, that he places a great deal of faith in rhetoric, the ability of rhetoric to
Stick up in. He was accused by a lot of being naive and weak when it come on to the world stage with most countries. That was one of his opponent's most aggressive attack against him. He's naive and he's weak against foreign nations like China, Russia, Iran, and other places. And that's kind of
solve global problems. This reminds you of the 1930s. It reminds you of Neville Chamberlain. I read you a quotation of the notion of spreading the wealth around, and again you said that's perfectly pure socialist doctrine from the 1930s. Would you argue that this man is the most left-wing, or the purest embrace of the unconstrained vision that we've seen in American politics since when? Since the New Deal?
Since there's been American politics.
Really?
Yes. I mean, even FDR, pulled back on some things, but Obama really he does have the unconstrained vision, which is really an elitist vision. It says, I know what is the best to be done, and I will do it. When he says, I will change the world, you realize this is a man who's actually accomplished nothing other than advancing his career.
Stick up in. Obama didn't really accomplish a lot apart from Obamacare and a few things, but he didn't really did a lot. Before you all come at me in the comment section, let's just lay the fact. Yes, he's the first black president. That's a fact. That's a big achievement. In America, it's a big achievement. Yes, right. But he was sliding on that for a while before people started to wonder, what have you done for the black community? That question was asked about him from my recollection, right? And don't forget, in the beginning, he used to go to Reverend Wright, who was one of his close friends and one of the church he went to. Remember, he had to disown him, say he's not his friend and blah, 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 and he had to cut ties with the church. That was an elitist move because he don't want to be tied to certain things. Remember, he was vehemently against gay marriage. Then what did he do as soon as he in office? He passed a bill for gay marriage. He passed a bill for women. Then he passed he passed bills for all the alphabet people, from the L's go all the way down. But he didn't really do any specific law that targeted black people. That was never done. And you might say, yes, he did a lot for black people, but not directly. He grouped us in other groups. So because even though Obama was in office for 8 years, black people poverty skyrocketed during his presidency. But let's continue before I go any further.
Rhetoric. And it reminds me of a sophomore in college, who thinks that he can run the world because he's never had to run anything. And you can believe that only until you have personal responsibility for consequences. And that's when it gives you a little bit of
consequences,
humility.
yeah.
Why don't the American people see through that? Isn't that the fundamental bet that the founders made? That that voters would see through, ultimately they'd see through nonsense?
Yes, but that was before nonsense became a large part of the curriculum of our educational institutions.
Schools, in intellect.
Facts, stick again. Don't forget, right now in the world, truth and facts is no longer accepted worldwide as objective truth. There are all kind of nonsensical things being taught right now in schools and in colleges. You can't even teach history anymore in class before somebody get triggered or somebody being accused of being appropriation or racism or whatever they want to get. But the school system is getting ridiculous now. But before me go off into another world talking about this, let's finish the video.
Intellectuals in society, whom do you mean?
I mean people whose end products are ideas. There are other people with great intelligence whose end products are things like the Salk vaccine.
A research scientist is not necessarily an intellectual.
That's right.
An engineer isn't necessarily an intellectual.
True. That's right. Because the engineer is judged by the end product, which is not simply ideas. If he builds a building that collapses, it doesn't matter how brilliant his idea was, he's ruined. Conversely, if an intellectual who's brilliant has an idea for rearranging society, and that ends in disaster, he pays no price at all.
I see. Let me quote Intellectuals in Society, quote, "The fatal misstep of intellectuals is assuming that superior ability within a particular realm can be generalized to superior wisdom or morality overall. Chess grandmasters, musical prodigies, and others who are as remarkable within their respective specialties as intellectuals within theirs seldom make that mistake." Explain that. Why would it? Well, let's take an example. Noam Chomsky, whom you write about in Intellectuals in Society, whose work in linguistics, in the first place, I can't understand it, but as best I can tell, everyone who understands his technical work within the field,
stick up in. But even though he's a great linguistics, I only know about this because of watching Thomas Sowell and he speak about him. But in that field, he's the greatest. But when he come out of that field of linguists, no one else knows him. He's not that versed in anything else because that's his specific field. So of course, you're gonna be well versed in it. As an example, what he's saying.
His discipline of linguistics considers him one of the great figures of the 20th century. And his work in politics?
Absurdity. The same could be said of Bertrand Russell and his landmark works on mathematics and other people in other fields, but they step outside their field. And when you step outside your level of specialty, sometimes that's like stepping off a cliff.
And why is it that intellectuals, that is to say people whose end product is ideas, should succumb to that temptation more than, to use your example, a chess grandmaster?
Stick up in, because I think just hit me. What he's saying is like, if you're let's take live examples as example, right? Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball player of all time, right? But when he left basketball and tried other sport, what happened? He failed. It's like jumping off a cliff. He failed drastically. Whatever he did, golf and all the sport he did after basketball, when he retired, when he quit basketball, he was horrible in them. So not because he's good at one thing, he's not good at the other. That's just his specific gift. Another person, Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is globally known and well known by everyone as the fastest man alive. He transcended the sport. But when he left track and field and he went into soccer and other games, he failed miserably. So people who are brilliant at something, when they tend to leave that field and go out in the world, they typically become basically rubbish. Cause that's what he's saying. If he's an engineer, you're a very smart engineer. But if you construct a building and that building collapse, that's on you. Don't want gonna say you're a great engineer because you're smart, yes, but you're not a good engineer because you're only intellectually smart, but you're not, and to do the work itself, you're not good at it. So, and this applies to everybody in our life. Not because you're good at one thing, mean you're gonna be good at other things. Like for instance, he mentioned the chess grandmasters, right? These guys who play chess for a living. But out of that chess game, their life is miserable because that's the only thing they're good at. Because here's the thing with chess. Chess pieces doesn't move, doesn't react. It's an object, right? So if you try to bring chess moves into real life situations, it's not gonna work because you deal with feelings and emotions and human beings and also there's no set say okay this will work because it works in chess. No, there's a difference. So that's what he's basically saying. That's what he said Obama tried. Obama was a great organizer, he's a great speaker, brilliant guy. But when it comes on to ruling a nation, he's not the same thing. Because people like to say, wow, what they're gonna do before they go into power. Remember he did everything for look when the uprising recently when they were whooping the Chinese people asses, right? Recently, when they were beating Chinese people. What Joe Biden did, he went directly and signed a law of hate against Chinese, so if it's now illegal, right? They've been killing black people for years. And there's no law stating that if you're a black person and a hate crime, you would like a specific law for us is not there, but there's a general we include in a general law of racism, but we don't have a specific law for us like the Chinese did, the LGBTQ did, and women organization did. Everybody else get except blacks. So this is why he said Obama failed drastically in helping to elevate black lives and also the country as a whole, because he did the same thing when he withdrew from Iraq and Iran, right? Remember what Obama said that ISIS was what his exact word was? His specific word was, oh, ISIS is the JV team, which means they are nothing, they are insignificant, right? But yet, look what the damage they come and did all over. And now, the same reason why they went in, one of the reasons why they went into those countries is to brought democracy, right? But it was for oil, but they was disguising it under democracy, right? But it's worse than how now it's worse than how they found it, because those ISIS and not ISIS anymore, but the Taliban now take over back. Cause they have patience now. They said they're gonna wait until America leave because they announced they're gonna leave before the war started. When the war started, right? So they'll skip back, wait, and now they take back over, and everything got to normal to how it wasn't now is even worse because you get to the leaders that can subdue them. Like Saddam Hussein had that part of the world on a lock because he knows how to deal with those kind of people. Democracy is not for everybody. I don't know why people think everybody must get democracy. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Some people don't need democracy because they can't handle democracy. So yeah. So he's saying Obama is one of the worst or the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous presidents in U.S. history. I could see it. I can see it because he didn't, and don't forget he gained a Nobel Peace Prize. And when he got that Nobel Peace Prize, I was like, why? What did he do to deserve a Nobel Peace Prize and then withdrawing troops from a war? Now the Nobel Peace Prize is no longer hold its weight it used to, because now it's a political thing now. When people get in Nobel Peace Prize now, it's not for actually doing the work. It's all about political gain and current favors. Because I'm a black man. I like Obama for being a black president, yes, but he did not do anything to deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. And anyone who disagree, say in the comment section, but be respectful and tell me the reason why he deserved to get a Nobel Peace Prize. And all those who gotten it for the past couple of years, it's not needed anymore because it's no longer based on merit. It's based on it's the wokeness take over even in the Nobel Peace Prize.
Because a chess grandmaster can be world famous for doing absolutely nothing more than winning chess tournaments.
Facts.
And making displays, as many of them do, of playing 5 chess games simultaneously while blindfolded.
That doesn't help you in
Bobby
real
Fischer
life.
had no need to opine on the politics of the day because he was getting rich and famous and making a brilliant career for himself within his narrow profession.
That's right. That's right.
But intellectuals, what they languish in obscurity.
Well, the whole question of when is someone well known or not came up during the visit of Jim Flynn from New Zealand here a few years ago. He's one of the world's authorities on IQ tests. Mm-hmm. People, in India know about Jim Flynn. People in England, he made world tour.
Stick up in. We're gonna stop it there. And IQ tests to me don't really serve a purpose right now in this modern world. It don't serve a purpose because having a high IQ don't necessarily mean you're the smartest person because you can just be lucky in the test and people fall by the way by then getting a low mark and then they take it to heart and then so it's not needed in society to me. The IQ test is not necessarily needed, but. That's why I like to listen to Thomas Sowell because Thomas Sowell talk facts, research, and he doesn't talk about he doesn't get emotional about talking about any topic, any person. He just state facts because he's a facts-driven, objective truth kind of guy, like Jordan Peterson, as one of my second person I listen to a lot, right? And this is factual. Obama, I wouldn't say he's the worst because he did one of few things that help people, like with the Obamacare, which some people still say it's a fail because you can't opt out of it. You have to just take whatever you get. It's like look a package, take it, and you have to pay for it, and you can't change it. If you change it, you have to go get something else. So some people, it's still a debate on the Obamacare. There's a few more things he has accomplished that he did that help here and there anecdotally, but overall, he did a horrible job as a president, to me. And for me, even Donald Trump did more for black people than Clinton, Biden, and all of them put together. Because he's the only one who passed the reform for the reform and the prison reform. He was the one of the only president who would actually get it done. All of them talk about it for years, and Biden and Clinton did the most damage to black people when they come on to when they criminalize the laws they sign into law. Yeah, so as much as people hate Trump, he's one of the ones that did the most. Why am I sure like I have that? He's one of the ones that did the most because he actually did what he said he's going to do. And if people should sift through the rhetoric and sift through the media and put that aside and look at actually what he actually get done, he did get a lot done for his short tenure he was there. But because of the hate and the misinformation that's spewed, people wouldn't see what he did. But if you should go on and follow his and look into what he did, you will see. Anyway, don't forget this is a Washington Exocan podcast. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget that. Okay? Boom. You know it is. Peace, love.